Hello and welcome to this short presentation about astrology and animals. I'm Janine and Opheim. I'm an evolutionary astrologer and animal communicator, and I'm really happy to be collaborating with my good friend, Dr. Katherine O'Connell.
And hello, Janine in Norway. Great to see you. So, greetings from rainy, cold redwoods and the almost Oregon on the coast of the Pacific. Yes, I'm Dr. Katherine O'Connell. It's great to be here. And before we get going, I want to honor astrology. I want to honor the moon because it's at 27 degrees of Sag. It's on the galactic center, and you can't make this stuff up. There's a lot of synchronicity here. When we present a little bit later on, I'll point out why that's very important. You know, Sagittarius has a lot to do with animals and nature, and 27 degrees we know is very important. It's going to come up in my presentation. Interestingly enough, we didn't plan it that way, but the universe had something in mind, as it always does, as the moon, always does. It's a Monday, so we want to honor the moon. We want to honor astrology, and we want to thank astrology and thank nature that we get to do this fun stuff. Right?
Absolutely.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
I've been an astrologer for about, oh gosh, 60 years, and I'm a clinical psychologist, and I'm just so lucky to be here. First of all, I just love doing this. This is just so much fun. From the time I was a little kid, I liked to look up at the sky and see clouds shaped like animals, right? What fun this is. So, we're going to talk about some real life people and their animals. And it's really fun to be able to do that. And it's an honor and a privilege. So, the first person we're going to talk about is someone I've known for a long time. Her name is Denise. She's an amazing person. She's a Jiki-den Reiki master and teacher for many years. She's an amazing, amazing individual. Now, she had a wonderful dog that I knew named Reba, who passed on at 16 years. They were devoted to one another. Reba passed on in 2019. And so, Denise waited a little while, wasn't really ready to get another dog. But then COVID came along. And I think we all know COVID affected us all profoundly in so many ways, on so many levels. So, interesting enough, before COVID was actually a thing, a lot of people got COVID. They talk about getting it. Looking back at 2019, Denise is one of those people. I was one of those people. She was traveling a lot between British Columbia and Northern California to teach Reiki, and Japan as part of her Reiki healing practice. So she was going through some pretty crowded airports, international airports, and she's pretty sure she picked it up. So in the fall of 2019, she came down with a mystery illness. We didn't know what it was at the time. She went from doctor to doctor. Nobody could figure out what it was. Nobody could make a diagnosis. Some of the symptoms included some real volatility with her blood pressure, dizziness, sudden bouts of sleep, where she'd have to sleep for hours and she'd just fall asleep. Like it almost looked like narcolepsy. Strange pains, heart palpitations, vision disturbance, a constellation of symptoms that didn't really hang together in any one illness. And I was beginning to see and read more about COVID. So I was kind of looking into that at the time. And I asked her, do you think it's possible at COVID that it might be COVID? And she eventually went to her doctor with that, and her doctor did an antibody test and some other tests. And toward the end of 2022, 2023, it became more and more apparent that she did have COVID. And she actually had post-COVID, a really serious case of it. And as we all know, there's not a lot known about post-COVID. So she's still been dealing with these strange mystery symptoms that come and go and are really unpredictable. It's been a very tough time for her. So the symptoms still continued to this day. She was fortunate. She was able to get into an experimental treatment group at UCSF Medical Center. So she really didn't feel at one level she was ready for a dog, and another part of her really needed a dog. A friend who rescues dogs offered a dog to her. And initially Denise thought, God, I don't know if I can even take care of a dog. Maybe I'm too sick to take care of a dog. And her husband was gone and working a lot, and he really couldn't be there. So she wasn't sure. Initially, she rejected the idea, but she kept seeing this little dog because little dog was at her friend's house. And eventually she became very enamored with this little dog. And eventually the dog visited her and stayed with her in her house. The dog's name is Ruru, which is really interesting because it apparently in Japanese, there's a version of the word sapphire, blue sapphire, that sounds a little bit like Ruru. And so it's a perfect name for this little deer-headed chihuahua who I'll show you a picture of later. It's adorable. We're going to go over some very interesting charts here that involve Ruru and Denise together. So in a photo, we can see Ruru's right there in the hospital bed with Denise during her regular infusion treatments. And he's keeping a sharp eye just to see who's coming in. Very protective, very observant. Great, great, great dog. Love Ruru. One of my dog, Tinkerbell's best friends. So he goes with her literally everywhere, to the doctor, to stores. Very, very well behaved little doggy. So there's been many instances where Ruru has actually woken up Denise when she was sleeping and not breathing well, as if she might not get her breath again. And Ruru would get on her chest and wake her up. So Ruru has literally multiple times saved Denise's life. So Denise feels that she owes Ruru her life. So here we go. Lots of charts here. But really, this is just the similar kind of chart we'd use if we were looking at a couple, right? We'd have someone on the inside and someone in the middle, someone on the outside. So the middle chart here is Denise's chart. Why is the middle chart Denise's chart? Because we're sure when Denise was born. We have an accurate time for her. The nice thing about a composite multiple wheel chart like this is that when you're not sure about someone's time, and a lot of times we're not sure about a dog or a cat's time or a horse or whatever, we can put that on the middle because we don't have to know the time. So we've got Denise in the middle, Ruru's birth on Denise in the inner chart, Ruru in the middle, and on the outer edge is when they met. I find doing an event chart for when the two meet is very, very important. There's something about that energy of the meeting that is really magical. There's a lot of synchronicity there. And the astrology wins out. You can see it time and time again. And I'm an astrologer that's very eclectic. So I'll use asteroids and fixed stars and Arabic parts to take a look at, particularly when I'm looking at something that has a flavor of destiny like this. So let's take a look at this. We want to take a look at Jupiter, first of all. Let's look at Denise's Jupiter. It's right here on the galactic center. And just like the moon is, here we go. We got the moon today on the galactic center. Denise's Jupiter at the galactic center. We've also got Ruru's Vesta, the asteroid of home, the hearth at home, and keeping that home fire burning. Right there, conjunct Jupiter. We've got the part of fortune of Denise's part of fortune, conjunct Ruru's Vesta. So destiny and home together. That's just beautiful, isn't it? So we get this sense of two beings that destiny came and helped find each other, to get together, to heal one another. It's just beautiful. Now, Ruru has the asteroid Sphinx in here. There's not really a symbol for the asteroid Sphinx, but it's actually right on the galactic center and right conjunct to this Vesta in Ruru's chart and conjunct Jupiter and the part of fortune in Denise's chart. So that's very interesting because Sphinx, of course, is an asteroid that's connected with ancient Egyptian healing wisdom. And Denise has been involved with ancient Egyptian healing forever. So there it is again. Ruru's birth, Arabic part of sudden luck is on Neptune. Yeah, right there on Neptune. Neptune at 15 degrees, Arabic part of sudden luck, 14 degrees, Pisces within 1 degree. So this is the part of sudden luck, not the part of fortune. But it's right on the part of fortune, isn't it? Isn't that interesting? For Ruru. And very, very close to the south node of Denise's birth chart. So the south node, if we look at it from an evolutionary point of view and a many lives point of view, we've got this sense of coming in, Denise coming in from prior lives, and the knowing, and the Pisces knowing, the real spiritual deep well of knowing, recognizing Ruru and Ruru recognizing her. So beautiful. And Ruru's asteroid Pallas Athena at the MC, right? Conjunct the MC and conjunct the ascendant for Ruru, and Ruru is there every time Denise works for teaching, for healing, right there, and even in the hospital bed, as we saw in the picture. So interesting, Ruru is part of fortune, which you can really not see here because it's so light, is at 1 degree Aquarius, conjunct Saturn, right here in the event chart, the chart of their meeting. And that's conjunct the birth chart, South Node, also for Ruru. Also, on Ruru's adoption chart, Denise's transiting moon returned back to its lunar return position of 4 degrees Scorpio. So there's the lunar return, such an important thing in the chart. So often something with large emotional impact happens when we have a lunar return, and there it was for her. Another big thing here that I didn't really specifically mention, this is occurring all on Denise's second Saturn return. So she's smack dab right in the middle of her second Saturn return. We can see her Saturn is at 11 degrees of Capricorn in her birth chart, that inner ring. So her illness, her first dog passing, Ruru, her meeting, everything, her treatments and her diagnosis for COVID, all in this period of time of her second Saturn return. And it's a big, high impact period of time for many, many people, including Denise right here.
Thank you, Katherine. That was really lovely to see the connections between them. Such a powerful couple.
Indeed.
So through my decades of being an animal lover and the past couple of decades being an animal communicator, communicating with animals on a heart level, on a telepathic level, I have absolutely no doubt that animals have souls just like we do. The philosopher, mystic, as well as mathematician and astronomer Pythagoras of Samos believed that the souls of animals were the same as the souls of humans, and that those souls could move from human to animal back to human. So an astrology chart is a moment in time when something is birthed, and of course, animals have astrology charts. So as part of my work, working with the charts of animals, I don't just look to see who they are as a person. I am really keen on looking to see what their relationship chart looks like. So I look at, as Katherine said before, I look at the relationship with their guardian. So I do look at the birth chart if I have that. And as Katherine said before, I'll put the birth chart of the person in the middle, and then it doesn't matter not knowing the time. But if the animal comes from a shelter or in my cat's case. She was found, she was abandoned, she was a wild cat. We don't have a birth chart. So I look at the meeting chart, and so often I'm seeing the kind of connection I would anticipate seeing in a relationship chart between people. So I think one of the reasons for this is that, you know, with animals, we don't put up boundaries. We don't put up energetic boundaries like we do with most people. We're much more open to each other's energies. So I think that's something that's part of the reason why the relationship chart seems to infuse itself somehow on us and our animals. One way to demonstrate that we don't have boundaries, energetic boundaries between us and our animal friends, is that we know animals can take on diseases that humans have, and, you know, very possibly the other way around. I can give a personal example of this. Last year, Maya and I, at exactly the same time, developed arthritis. So I'm often seeing connections between the angles, the moon and the sun, Venus and the moon, and the asteroids, Ceres and Juno. Ceres is related to nurturing and providing, and Juno is the asteroid that's related to marriage and relationships. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. So as I said, Maya was found abandoned, so I don't have a birth date for her. So I look at the day when we met, which I refer to as her gotcha day. And many of the people I work with don't know their animal's birth date. So I've been working a lot with this gotcha day chart. So this is my chart, along with the chart of when I met Maya. And you can see straight away that the moon from that day, from that moment that we met, is right on my sun, and also my Ceres, which is conjunct my sun, opposite the Ceres on the day that we met. Then you can also see Juno is on my south node. Now, one of the signatures for past life relationships is Venus on the south node. Now, Venus is related to relationships. Juno is the asteroid related to relationships. And I definitely feel that kind of connection with Maya. It was absolutely love at first cuddle. And look, when we took Maya to the vet, he said that she was around about 5 weeks old. So just out of curiosity, I wanted to look and see what did that chart look like 5 weeks before. And Juno is right on my Juno. And of course, there are other connections here, but I'm just focusing on these ones for now for the purpose of this presentation. And this is the kind of connection that I'm seeing again and again with my clients. Okay, so I wanted to demonstrate this with another chart and another relationship. So this is my husband, Dan, and one of our dogs, Delphi. And this is Delphi's birth date. We do know her birth date, but we don't know the time that she's born. So I've put Dan's chart in the middle and Delphi's chart on the outside. You can see here that Delphi's sun is just 1 minute, not degree, but minute from Dan's ascendant.
Wow.
Right on his moon. So when there are conjunctions between angles, which is the ascendant is an angle, the sun and the moon, it does suggest a deep connection. Now, Delphi's moon is on Dan's Ceres. So Ceres is related to nurturing and providing. Moon, which is nurturing and supportive and safe. And they are definitely, the moment they met, Dan had the same experience with Delphi that I had with Maya. It's like something woke up inside our chests somehow. Another thing I noticed is Delphi's Pluto on Dan's Juno, and this is a possible soul connection as well. And another thing that I've noticed is, and I've seen this several times now, is a reverse of the nodes. So Dan has South Node in Libra, North Node in Aries, and Delie has her South Node in Aries, North Node in Libra. And in thinking about what's the evolutionary purpose of this, I feel like there's an energetic connection to this nodal axis, and they help each other develop the balance between the nodes. Because we say we're coming from the South Node to the North Node. And according to my evolutionary astrology teacher, Maurice Fernandez, he teaches that the purpose of the nodes isn't to go away from the South Node, but to raise the vibration of the nodes and balance between the two. And I think that makes sense, that I'm seeing this reversal of the nodes with the animals that we're really close to. And then this is the meeting chart when Dan and I met Delie, but we're just looking at Dan's chart now. Delie's gotcha day Juno is opposite Dan's Juno, with the Pluto of the gotcha day even closer to the Juno in Dan's chart than it was in the birth chart. And then we have the gotcha day moon in Cancer, opposite Ceres in Capricorn. So again, the two nurturing, the nurturing moon and the nurturing asteroid are connected. And then something else, I also think this is quite important because Dan is so close to Delie and their connection was instantly strong. The moment that they met, the sun is in the last degree of Leo in Dan's 5th house. And the 5th house relates to our love of animals, our companion animals. So I felt that was quite interesting as well. So thank you for watching this short presentation. Hope you've enjoyed it. My contact details are there. My website is JanineOpheim.com. Email JanineOpheim@gmail.com, and all social media, Janine Opheim Astrologer. And please also join us on Facebook, Animal Stars, and Instagram and YouTube, Animals and Astrology.
Thank you so much. And my contacts information is there too, www.drkatherine.net. Love to hear from you. And there's my Facebook and Instagram. And it has been so much fun. We'd both like to thank you so much for joining us today. This is a labor of love. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.